This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Rathmell versus Lux Days Resort and Spa. Mr. and Mrs. Rathmell, it's my understanding that you are suing for injuries that Mr. Rathmell sustained while you were on vacation at this spa. You all are asking this court to award you $40,000 for your past medical expenses, $5,000 for your future medical expenses, and $200,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $245,000, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Clarke, you're here representing Lux Days Resort and Spa, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You believe that had they followed the directions that they were given, they never would have been injured?
Yes, Your Honor, wholeheartedly.
Well, let's get into the legal sauce. Mr. and Mrs. Rathmell, how did you all get to choose Lux Days Resort and Spa?
Well, it's the first spot that he took me when we honeymooned. So it was pretty romantic of him to kind of take me back, actually. And we enjoyed it. It was about 10 years ago, a decade ago, but it was fantastic.
We had a great experience at that time. I know it was young love, but that young love is still going on now, so.
I met John during a blind date. My best friend set us up. I was not looking forward to seeing anybody, but this guy here kind of schmoozed me over.
I'm romantic like that.
Romance is beautiful.
Yes, sir. This young lady left her medical field to come support my business, which has grown immensely because of her. And so I said, hey, you know, it's time to do something nice.
Gladly.
Well, Mrs. Rathmell, you've got some medical training.
Yeah, I have about 8 years as a nurse, but I gave all that up for this guy. I mean, we're running our own company, so he kind of needed the help behind the scenes, so I do all the administrative work and hiring contractors and things like that.
Mr. Clarke, you are here representing Lux Days Spa and Resort, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me about the resort.
I started working at the Lux Days Resort and Spa about 10 years ago when I was in college. I started off as a bellman, and I worked my way up to a management position. Our resort offers anything you would want on a dream vacation. We have gourmet food, state-of-the-art fitness facilities, and we also offer a private view of the beach, as you can see here.
Yes, beautiful. So couples come there to have a relaxing time on the beach, enjoying the restaurants. That's the way it's supposed to work.
Yes, Your Honor. We have thousands of guests annually, repeat guests, because they love what we have, and we do our best to keep them coming back.
So what happened?
That morning, I woke up and, you know, I went and got a little mani-pedi, a little alone time for myself while I let my husband sleep. And I kind of signed us up for a little couples massage. He's hard on himself, so, you know, I decided, you know, let's get some massages. So then we went and had some lunch, and we're from the Midwest, so we don't have many beaches. So they do have beautiful views, so we walked along the beach and just reminiscing about our 10 years together. Suddenly, it just became a little bit more cooler, so my husband suggested, honey, maybe we should just gather our things. Then suddenly, a gust of wind started coming our way.
I'll tell you. Now, I'm gonna have to jump in there because this is the part that got me a little upset. Now,
all right.
I know we can't control the wind, we can't control what's going on with it, but as we were going back, I saw, as the gust picked up, an umbrella coming through. An umbrella was coming at my wife like a missile.
Like the umbrellas that you sit under when you're trying to tan again?
Yes, sir, the big beach umbrella with all the metal and a nylon and all that stuff there.
Like this umbrella in the courtroom?
Exactly like that one right there, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, now I saw that coming at my wife.
It was airborne.
It was airborne, it was coming like a missile. Okay, now my thing, naturally, first of all, I'm a man. This is my woman. I'm gonna protect my woman. So I jumped in front of her, making sure it did not hit her. She's gorgeous. I'm not gonna let anything hurt this woman. All right? So I jumped in front of it and I got hit in my back, left side here. Now, Your Honor, I was a very good amateur boxer.
Yes, sir.
12-1 record, never been knocked down. I never got hit as hard as I did when that umbrella hit me in my side.
So this umbrella comes out of the sand and it's airborne like a javelin.
It's airborne, Your Honor. It came at her like it was just targeting her. It's like it was a direct missile for her.
It knocked him out so hard, Your Honor, that he couldn't even breathe. And the next thing that I seen was like his face was bleeding and I didn't know where it was coming from. And although I am in the medical field, I was trying to tend to him and also calm my own nerves. It felt like it took hours for someone to come help us, Your Honor.
Did you realize at that time that you were badly injured?
Not as bad as I eventually found out, Your Honor. I mean, I know I got hit in the backside. I didn't know the extensiveness of the damage until later. I just knew I was hurt.
Mr. Clarke, how did you come to know that something bad had happened?
Well, first and foremost, the weather earlier in the day was perfect. It was just fine, like they said. But I had my security staff monitor the forecast 24/7.
Okay.
And they told me that inclement weather and a possible storm was approaching. So I told all my staff to make sure all of the guests go inside and get off of the beach, just because, you know, we don't know what's going to happen in a storm.
What time was that, sir?
In the morning.
In the morning. So why didn't you guys warn us early?
Miss Rathmell, I appreciate that. And those are appropriate questions, but they kind of come from me.
Sorry, Your
Okay?
Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. So why didn't you tell the guests earlier?
We knew that a storm was possibly coming, but we weren't for certain. But once we were certain that it was coming our way and that could be severe, that's when we decided to, you know, get all the guests off the beach, have them gather their things. I had one of my employees speak to the Rathmells. The Rathmells said they would leave.
No.
That is
And
not
they never
true.
did. I actually have
It's a storm,
security
of course
footage.
it's gonna be
I have
windy.
security footage
And
of the weather
unexpected.
from the incident.
Okay.
And the bottom line, that's not our fault. You know, it's nature.
So this is security footage from that day.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. and Mrs. Rathmell, the wind was blowing like that?
Well, Your Honor, by the time it got to that point, we were already at our location picking our stuff up. It wasn't that hard at first. When it got to that point, we were moving our stuff and going in towards the inside. You know, there was no sense of urgency from the message telling everybody to move in.
So with winds like this, it picked that umbrella up and sent it airborne. It was going to impale your wife. That's why you stepped in the way.
It was going
It
to
was
hit
kind of
my...
like a sail, Your Honor. If you imagine a sail in the wind,
Right.
This is
that
not our
hard.
This is not our fault, Your Honor. It
Well-
still was the wind.
How could this not be your fault?
It was coming.
These are your umbrellas, right?
Yeah, these are our umbrellas, but we told all guests to get off the beach. They refused to leave. Everyone else was going. They were the only ones who stayed.
Did y'all get that warning? That is, you need to get up and leave now.
Your Honor, they came and kindly told us to leave softly. There was no sense of urgency in anybody's voice.
big
My
hold up.
employees don't yell. We're
The
going to
big
be
hold
polite.
up, sir. The
Y'all, when you look at this video, you got to understand, those are very, very strong winds. Everybody can see that, right?
Well, Judge, we're from the Midwest, so winds they're common to us. But there have been reports all over the news that other resorts have gone through this with beaches and they're having to secure their equipment. So they're such experts on the wind and the rain. Shouldn't they be experts at what's happening at other resorts?
Now, you
Look at
submitted
that.
this video to the court. Is that how the wind was blowing out there that
Exactly,
day?
Your Honor. They should have secured those umbrellas. You see how hard those winds are going and you see the umbrellas flying? That thing was like a 2x4.
Those things are moving fast, sir. You just doesn't seem the same on TV. In person, those
That's
things
nothing.
are moving fast.
That's nothing.
This is another resort where the umbrellas had a mind of their own.
Correct. And it was all over the news.
Had they been secure, sir, they wouldn't be flying around like that.
So they may not be able to secure everything. You would think that
Your
these
Honor, I
folks
had
were
my
able to do
employees
that.
securing the umbrellas as we were escorting guests off
Mr.
the
Clarke,
beach.
that's a dangerous situation. A lot of people could have been killed out there. You talked about this umbrella nearly impaling you, and I see you've hurt your neck. Tell me about your injuries.
Well, sir, at the backside, I have 2 broken ribs, all right? A punctured lung. Of course, you should see the bruising. I can show you the bruising as well, sir, if you have it. I have my neck, I had whiplash, and of course, I got a gash to this beautiful face, which my wife still loves. But
I see you're asking this court to give you $40,000 for your past medicals and $5,000 for your future medicals. Now, the biggest number you're seeking is $200,000 for pain and suffering.
Yes,
Tell me
sir.
about that. That's a lot of money.
well, sir, I tell you, right now, again, I'm a construction owner. All right, so I do a lot of heavy lifting. I work with my men. I don't just give them direction. I'm there with them. I also have children and a wife that I want to love and hug. We have a very active lifestyle. I have a hard time raising my arm. I have a hard time breathing. Well, you got to let it heal, but it costs money.
Yes, sir.
It costs money to run a business, it costs money to have a family, and it costs money for those medical expenses. Can I give you a good look at it, sir?
Now, this is where the umbrella actually hit you.
Yes, sir. I tell you, I've never been hit like this before.
Wow.
So, Your Honor, this is day
Okay.
2 at the resort. Not
Yes.
to mention the fact that we had to cut our vacation short and we were in the hospital the whole time.
Mr. Clarke, this isn't how this is supposed to turn out. This could have been a death case.
Oh, it definitely could have been deadly. And it's very unfortunate that, you know, Mr. Rathmell got injured, but We can't control the weather or how fast it comes. So we have systems and protocols put in place for inclement weather.
It reads what to do 30 minutes before storm arrives. Number 1, notify all guests that a storm is coming. Y'all did that.
With the text message.
Number 2, any guest on the beach must leave immediately until the weather clears and announcement is made. Number 3 is secure all beach furniture in nearby storage. That's what you all were trying to do as you asked people to get off the beach. Really, all 3 of those things ought to be happening.
Correct.
Which it sounds like what you all tried to do.
Yes, we did the first 2. We were also doing the third.
But Mr. Clarke, you understand that had you secured this umbrella,
At 9.
it never would have impaled Mr. Rathmell, right?
I understand
right.
that, but
That's right.
either way, we were securing the umbrellas, but we also sent them a text message as well at 1:30.
Well,
Your
you've submitted
Honor,
that to the
text-
court.
Closed.
Let's take a look at it. It reads, attention all guests, please be advised that we are expecting high winds today. Listen for alerts from our resort staff for your safety. We hope you continue to enjoy your stay at Lux Days. That's what you sent to all guests.
Yes,
Does that
Your Honor.
sound urgent?
Did you all get that text message?
We did not get it, first of all, sir, because we left our phones and everything in our room. We didn't have our.
It's
we wanted to
2019. Who leaves their
completely-
phone in their room?
Well, who takes?
Listen, it's a getaway.
It's a resort. It was a
Yeah.
it was a loving getaway. We wanted to be disconnected from everybody but each other.
We were
So
unplugged, Your Honor.
Now, you brought one of your staff with you, Mr. Doug Jenkins. All right, Mr. Jenkins, if you would rise and go to the podium, what is your role in this whole story?
So I was working at the resort that day, and we had been informed that morning that there was potential of inclement weather
morning,
later that
exactly.
day. And there was a warning text sent out to all of our patrons to be alert and to
Again
be
with the
aware.
text.
Exactly.
So, however, when we noticed that weather was starting to pick up, the winds were starting to get a little bit higher, that's when we officially closed the beach down. At around 1:30, we sent out another message letting all of our patrons know the facility was shut down, they needed to move inside for their safety.
So there were 2 warnings sent, written warnings?
2 official written warnings and then 1 verbal warning, because I ran into the Rathmells on the beach.
You remember
did.
this?
Yes, sir, very specifically.
He did.
He did.
So what happened?
I told them that the weather was picking up and that for their safety, they needed to vacate the area and the beach was closed. They
Which
refused.
is what we were starting to do.
So do
That's
you
a
all
lie.
remember that conversation?
Well, I do. His message was they had no sense of urgency whatsoever.
Your Honor, I train my staff to be polite. We're not going to yell at anybody or drag
don't-
anybody inside. All we can do is warn them.
So, Your Honor, it has nothing to do about being polite.
We'll do this. Say it to me the way you said it to them.
I said, the weather is expected to get worse. The beach is closed temporarily. We will let you know if it reopens, but for now, we need you to gather your belongings and head inside for your safety.
Now,
Not at all.
what makes it more urgent than that? Now, y'all,
Your
one of the
Honor.
things that I learned in law school is common sense never leaves the courtroom.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay? Common sense kind of tells you when the wind is blowing like that, you need to get up and get.
That's what we were doing. That's what we were doing. At the end of the day, Your Honor, they were not prepared for this storm in the morning time. So let's say 15 minutes before a storm hits. You never know when a storm is going to hit. Why didn't they prepare early that morning?
And,
Or maybe
know,
you guys should have been inside.
Mr. Jenkins, thank you, sir.
Like I said, Your Honor, he wants us to stay inside because of a possibility of a storm.
And we were in the process of going inside.
We can't be held liable if we tell you to leave with weather like this and you want to stay outside because you're from the
They
Midwest
did not
and
secure
love
their
rain,
equipment on
then that's
time,
their
Your
business.
Honor.
Your gear should have been locked down in the first place.
The gear was locked down
What
and
if
you
it
should
was
have
a
been
kid
inside.
out there?
Right.
I think I've heard what I need to hear. I'm ready to render my decision. Folks, in every personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove that the defendant was wrong and that the defendant's wrong caused your harm. Your harm is undisputed, so that stands. What you must prove is that the resort did something wrong that caused these injuries. Here, you all have put up evidence with videos showing blowing umbrellas. You've shown that you were trying to get out and this umbrella came in the air and nearly impaled you. You believe that the resort should have warned you with more passion and they should have secured those umbrellas so you'd have a safe opportunity to get off the beach. Mr. Clarke, on behalf of the resort, you've put up a vigorous defense. You believe had they heeded your instruction, your warning by Mr. Jenkins to get off the beach, Mr. Rathmell would have never been injured.
Yes, Your Honor.
The 3 tentacles of the law that touch this case One is act of God. No one can anticipate certain weather events, certain things happening. It's not like God threw the umbrella at you, but these winds kicked up, it sounds like somewhat unexpectedly, and sent this umbrella flying. In a courtroom, an act of God is no one's fault. The second legal principle is personal responsibility, and that is when you're given a warning, you gotta heed that warning. Personal responsibility is important even when you're trying to protect someone else. And that is the third tentacle of the law. Mr. Rathmell, when you tried to protect your wife, that is a very, very noble thing to do. Under the law, though, you have now assumed the responsibility of harm. That is the biggest legal principle that presides here. You have been warned, you were supposed to get off the beach, you stepped in the way and you were hurt instead of your wife. And despite your injuries, I must find in favor of Lux Days Resort and Spa and against you. That is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Our attorneys across America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Leonard Lundy has to say.
When you own a property, you have a basic duty to keep their property in a safe condition. In this case, the resort exercised reasonable diligence by notifying their guests of the impending storm and by telling them to leave the beach and seek shelter. The plaintiffs ignored the storm warnings and as a result were injured. The plaintiffs' assumption of the risk prevented them from winning their case.